The Galactic Survival Championship had never seen anything like her. Honey Martinez stood at the registration terminal on Station Kepler 442, her weathered hands moving across the holographic interface with surprising dexterity for someone who'd celebrated her 73rd birthday last month. Around her, the galaxy's most elite survivalist Skrin warriors with their reinforced Veltharian trackers with their heat-sensing organs, Calyx navigators with their innate stellar mapping abilities stared at the elderly human woman in her hand-knitted cardigan. Grandmother, the Torvan registrar, chittered nervously, his compound eyes reflecting concern. Perhaps you've made an error. This is the Survival Championship, Category 5, the Void Gardens of Proxima 7. I can read, dear Honey replied, patting his chitinous arm. Now where do I sign? Harry Chen, the human liaison officer, rushed through the crowd. At 28 he was technically her grandson's age, though they'd only met an hour ago when she'd arrived on the station. Mrs. Martinez, please. The Void Gardens, they're not a joke. 43 species have attempted survival there. The record is 40 days, set by a Kryn warlord. Most participants are extracted within a week. Dead Honey's brown eyes, still sharp behind her wire-rimmed glasses, fixed on him. Son, I homesteaded in Alaska in the 70s. Before that, I did 6 months solo in the Yukon for fun. That was Earth, where we evolved without knowing what we were preparing for. She interrupted gently. Where's my entry pod? The Void Gardens of Proxima 7 earned their name honestly. A rogue planet flung from its star system millions of years ago. It drifted through interstellar space at near absolute zero temperatures. No sunlight, no atmosphere humans could breathe. Crystalline forests of frozen methane stretched across its surface, and the local life, if the xenobiologists' classifications could be trusted, existed in states of matter that defied conventional understanding. The survival rules were simple: 40 days, minimal equipment, extract your own water, grow your own food, shelter yourself. A neural beacon monitored vitals, tap out, and the retrieval ships came. Die, and they came anyway. Harry monitored Honey's vitals from the orbital station, his fingers drumming anxiously against the console. Around him, hundreds of spectators from dozens of species watched the holographic feeds. This championship drew viewers from half the galaxy. She's set up her shelter, one of the Calyx observers noted. Surprisingly efficient insulation design, using the methane crystal's own structure against heat loss. Harry zoomed in on the feed. Honey had indeed constructed something remarkable, dome that looked almost cozy. She'd placed reflective emergency sheeting to capture heat from her small fusion generator, then layered crystalline structures to create an airlock system that minimized atmosphere loss. That's a Crenshaw thermal trap, breathed a Veltharian engineer, but modified. She's improved it. Day 3, Honey started her garden. The biopod she'd brought contained seeds, not the standard survival rations most contestants brought, but actual seeds. Under the watchful eyes of billions, she set up grow lights, mixed her substrate, and planted with the methodical patience of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Earth potatoes, Harry explained to the confused aliens around him. They grow in almost anything, and those are mushrooms. They don't even need light. Inefficient, a Kryn warrior grumbled. She should be hunting the crystal crawlers. She's 73, Harry said. She's not hunting anything, but he was wrong. On day 12, Honey's neural beacon spiked elevated heart rate, adrenaline surge. Harry's blood ran cold as he watched the feed. A void stalker had found her camp. 3 meters of crystalline predator, existing partially out of phase with normal matter, nearly invisible against the frozen landscape. They'd killed 2 contestants in previous championships. Honey emerged from her shelter with a walking stick and what appeared to be a pot of boiling water. Aliens in the observation deck erupted in confusion. Harry leaned forward, trying to understand. The stalker approached, its quantum-shifting form flickering between states of matter. Honey stood her ground, then did something that made no tactical sense whatsoever. She threw the boiling water dot on Proxima 7's surface. Exposed to near absolute zero temperatures, the water didn't just freeze. It underwent a phase transition so violent that it created an expanding cloud of ice crystals that momentarily forced the stalker's quantum state to collapse, making it fully sought per real. In that instant, Honey swung her walking stick, which Harry now realized was weighted with frozen methanand, struck with the precision of someone who'd dealt with wolves, bears, and worse. The stalker retreated into the crystalline forest. The observation deck fell silent. She weaponized thermodynamics, a physicist whispered. Day 40 arrived. Honey had not only survived but thrived. Her garden produced more food than she could eat. She'd mapped the local stalker migration patterns and learned to avoid them or scare them off. She'd even improved her shelter, adding a second chamber where she dried and stored provisions. The neural beacon offered her extraction. She declined. Day 50 passed. Then 60. The championship officially ended, but the feed stayed active at Honey's request. She'd become the galaxy's most watched broadcast. On day 70, she finally signaled for extraction. Harry met her at the airlock, speechless. Honey emerged carrying a bag of frozen potatoes and smiling. Why 70 days? The Torvan registrar asked. You'd already broken the record. Honey adjusted her cardigan. Well dear, I wanted to be sure the potato crop could sustain a full growing cycle. Couldn't leave without knowing if they'd reseed properly in those conditions. She paused. Also, I was enjoying the quiet. My grandson calls me too much back home. Harry laughed despite himself. Mrs. Martinez, you just rewrote every survival manual in the galaxy. Oh, I doubt that, son. She patted his shoulder. I just did what any grandmother does. I made do with what I had. Stayed practical, and didn't panic over every little thing. Her eyes twinkled. Though I will admit, that stalker was a bit more exciting than the grizzly that got into my cashback in 81. Behind her, the galaxy's greatest survivalists stood in respectful silence. Humans, they were beginning to understand, hadn't conquered their deadly homeworld. They'd been forged by it, and their grandmothers were the toughest of all. End.